How's it going? Welcome back to James Chat. Today is Friday Fun Day. Which day do you ever want to do?
What?
How's it going? Welcome back to James Chat. Today is Friday Fun Day. Which day do you ever want to do?
One more time.
How's it going? Welcome back to James Chat. Today is Friday Fun Day. Which day do you ever want to do?
One more time.
How's it going? Welcome back to James Chat. Today is Friday Fun Day. Which day do you ever want to do?
What point am I making there, James? What simple, shrewd observation am I highlighting with my gibberish there?
And I'm a feminist.
I mean, well, surely there must be some kind of emergency glass panel to smash in the event of me being this fucking shocked.
And if you're not a feminist, then I don't like you, and I don't ever want to associate with you.
You are just delightful, aren't you? You know, since I started properly listening to feminists, I've gained some unexpected, respective perspective for the people who are supernaturally religious. Not that bad after all. It's seldom you hear a Christian say, "If you're not a Christian, I don't like you." Even most Muslims, even the devout ones, will rarely say, "If you're not a Muslim, I don't like you, and I don't ever want to associate with you." And even those who do will at least say it with the stern voice and serious expression that one would expect to accompany such an uncompromising, fundamentalist sentiment. Feminists are the only people I've encountered who not only are quite likely to say some variation of, "If you don't suck my God's cunt, you're a bad person," but they will say it with a giggle and a shit-eating grin like they're singing happy fucking birthday. So, I mean, fuck you, sir, in no uncertain terms. I shan't say I won't associate with you. I'm associating with you now. And I shan't say I don't like you, because I don't think I'm ever going to see the real you. But I really don't like that terrifying Joker mask you're wearing.
Now, if you were offended by that, then chances are you don't actually know what feminism is. Or you do and you're an asshole. And I still don't like you.
Legendary. James, absolutely fucking bonza! If someone who had never heard of feminism was listening to you, perhaps a visitor from another culture, then you've already told them you don't like them. And you don't want to associate with them. And if, through some arcane cultural anomaly, they somehow find that offensive, then it's because they're an asshole. Or ignorant. So come on, James, tell all these confused foreign interlopers why, in your culture, you can tell a stranger whom you are yet to meet and know nothing about that you don't like them and you don't ever want to associate with them, and that this is offensive to no one except assholes and the ignorant. Do give everyone that vital jigsaw piece of information they need to escape from this tar pit of disdain and association in which you have placed them by default. Tell every potential alien in the universe who might be listening to this what they need to know to avoid being immediately intellectually and morally cast out of your collective. James, tell everyone what a feminism is.
So for those of you who might be confused, allow me to explain what feminism is all about. Feminists are quite simply people who want equal rights amongst all genders.
I want equal rights amongst all genders, and I am not a feminist. Whereas there are many prominent, self-identified feminists who believe and announce that only men should be imprisoned, and only men should be drafted, and men should be genitally mutilated, and women should be paid more than men. In order to disprove your argument, I only need to find one feminist who believes one of these things. And I'm pretty sure I've already done the legwork there. Please explore my channel. Now that I've presented my rebuttal of your argument, James, it's your turn to try and strengthen it. Are you going to use reasoned logic to further elaborate your point in principle? Are you going to demonstrate something empirically through physical evidence? Are you going to refer to statistics and peer-reviewed studies? Or might you favour the no, I'm a good boy, no, approach?
That's it. That is it. There's nothing else to it. It's not like some revenge scheme to oppress men and give women more power. No. That's not it. It's about equality for everybody.
I do believe, therefore God.
So if you think that an equally qualified woman should make the same amount of money as a man doing the same exact job, then guess what?
Then you are in resounding agreement with the current mandate of your legal system. You needn't call yourself a feminist for that. You need only call yourself a law-abiding citizen. However, if you believe women should be paid more, then in all probability...
you're a feminist.
See, if you request equal rights, you're probably a human rights advocate. If you request superior rights, you're probably a supremacist. If someone told you a lie and you believed that lie, and now you think women should be paid more, then you were tricked into being a female supremacist. Just like if we give men the vote and the draft, and we give women the vote but no draft, and then we just happen to have two massive wars, and you can call that equality, then you were tricked into being a female supremacist.
If you think a whole women having the right to vote was a coolio move by the government, then yep, you're still a feminist.
And if you agree that not mutilating babies would perhaps one day be a coolio move by the government, then you're a men's rights advocate.
Just so you know.
Thanks, dude. I wouldn't get away with saying that unless it was in the sardonic context of a mirror switch response like that. Even though every logical step of it is true by definition, I would not get away with saying it as a singular statement. People really don't like being told they're a thing. Even if they do the verb of that thing. It's fucking weird, I know. But I don't blame them. The waters have been so almost irreversibly muddied by generations of academic identity politicians running fucking amok in every vein of our civilization. People doing the shit you're doing now, basically, but in universities all over the world. And from there trickling into everything. Treating everything we call feminism exactly like you would treat everything we call Big Brother. Except it's okay because feminism is definitely good. The feminists tell us so.
Now, I know this isn't like one of my normal videos, but it's important for me to talk about this.
No.
And what's sad is that it's really important for individuals like myself to talk about this because people will take me more seriously when I say that I'm a feminist than when a woman says they're a feminist.
Yeah, I was tempted to put up the good old mushroom cloud clip there, but as you can see, I couldn't even be bothered. That's the dumbest thing mouths can say. James, how many men can you think of who are famous just for being feminists? Now, how many women? Why do you think they refer to academic feminist indoctrination as gender studies? It's because women are the default authority on gender. Even female MRAs are taken more seriously than male ones, by an order of magnitude at the very least. And if a woman says she's a feminist, most people will think, okay, that's pretty much normal now. But as a man, if you say you're a feminist, most people will notice something weird about you. Because in all probability, there is something very fucking weird about you. Most men will mock you for it. Most women will find you creepy or just pity you. The only people who will take you more seriously for being a feminist are other feminists. And those people will not take you more seriously for being a man. They're fucking feminists. As a feminist man, you're at the bottom of everyone's pile. Especially as a straight, white, cisgendered, able-bodied feminist man. You divide all that by feminism, and you become, on a largely subconscious level, and also a highly conscious level, one of the most universally pathetic and detestable life forms ever to walk the earth. And that's not to say you're bad people. You're just pathetic and detestable. You evoke my pathos. And you're easy to detest compared with other humans. See, you probably think Stone Age men were all rapey, antisocial knuckleheads, don't you? In a way, you kind of need to believe that. And the reality is, Stone Age men were multi-talented hunters and orienteers. They had to be to survive. They had much, much more complex and dynamic things on their minds than getting women's approval. Feminist men are actually at a level of preoccupied sexual toadying that probably hasn't existed since before thumbs. Quite possibly fish.
That is clear evidence that there is not equality. Like that is evidence.
Well, you're just a single case, but yeah, it's kind of evidence. I mean, you're standing here thinking the blatant opposite of reality, and you're trying to fathom how the hell you live your life like that. It doesn't sound like equality. That sounds like your brain is still in the process of being washed, and we can hear the foamy schlogs of bleach gurgling down the drain.
If people take me more seriously because I'm a man regarding women having equal rights, then there are not equal rights for women and men.
See? You are painful evidence that doublethink is alive and well and playing all kinds of visibly damaging jiggery-pokery with fools' heads. And doublethink is not just evidence of inequality, it's an agent of it.
I recognize that I'm a part of the most privileged group of people on the planet. I'm a white, straight man.
There you have it, Albanian farmer. How does it feel to be every American president? I don't know, Chinese peasant. How does it feel to be every Chinese emperor?
I'm the definition of a privileged human being. Like, I'm so lucky. I am so lucky.
Look, I almost can't knock you for that. That can actually be a healthy attitude for you and those around you. To believe yourself lucky no matter what happens to you. Within reason, I mean. To be thankful, to be alive and breathing. It truly is a holy gift, James. Perhaps you could do the world a favour and spread this healthy attitude to others. I really hope you're not keeping that feeling to yourself and your own kind and telling everyone else they're unlucky. Because that's a very elementary corollary, you see. To believe yourself unlucky no matter what happens to you is a very unhealthy attitude for you and those around you. So I hope you're not telling women and minorities that they should feel unlucky, especially not on a large institutional scale, because that, James, if you ask me, would be a smidgy little bit oppressive. Mutually oppressive.
And even though that's the case, there are definitely days when I feel kind of victimized because I am guilty by association. Like, I see posts all the time of saying, like, men are pigs, men are this, white people are this, and it sucks, yes.
And black women are pigs. What do you suppose black women think if and when someone says black women are pigs? I imagine they think, holy fuck, that's racist and sexist. It makes all black women guilty of being pigs by association with this claim. And that's fucking racist and sexist. If that was a pervasive empire-wide attitude, I'd probably call it oppressive. But when you see or hear someone saying, men are pigs, you think, I feel guilty by association somehow. What a strange feels very wow much. Oh well, never mind. My attitude is that I must simply put my head down and get on with my work and give my earnings to my master.
But I also know full well that it is way better, way better than being oppressed.
Do you know what doublethink is, James? It's what allows you to see two identical things and decide they are completely different things just because of the words you use for them. And the Olympic feat of mental gymnastics you pull off between them. Guilty by association. James, you poor, miserable cunt. Guilty by association was the rationale for killing not just the handful of Jews in charge of the banks, but 6 fucking million of them. Guilty by association is the act of judging someone or something not on their own merits and deeds, but by their categorical associations. It is the very definition of prejudice. When it happens to women, you call it sexism, you call it oppression. When it happens to non-whites, you call it racism, you call it oppression. When it happens to you, James, your brain rattles and melts and shits itself. You are not allowed to be offended. You are not allowed to have pride in the inherent attributes that make you what you are. I mean, it's because you're a first-class citizen, James. It's because you're so fucking privileged. And when they overrun the defences, a minor invasion put down to expenses, will you go down to the airport lounge? Will you accept your second-class status, a nation of waitresses and waiters? Will you mix their martinis? Will you stand still for it? Or will you take to the hills? When the cowboys and Arabs draw down on each other at noon in the cool, dusty air of the city boardroom, will you stand by, a passive spectator of the market dictators? Will you discreetly withdraw with your ear pressed to the boardroom door? Or will you hear when the lion within you roars? Will you take to the hills?
Please don't misinterpret that.
Okay, then could you expand on it for me?
Like, yeah, it kind of sucks a little bit, but it's not nearly as sucky as the alternative.
Yeah, that's expanded nothing. It's actually contracted it slightly.
I would much rather be guilty by association than to experience inequality and injustice based off my gender, my race, my sexuality, my religion, whatever the factor may be. I'm really, really fortunate that I don't experience that.
That's just repeating the same bullshit doublethink argument, James. Repeating the same mistake does nothing to prevent misinterpretation. Why do you think you could just say things over and over really, really insistently and act as though you're explaining anything? You're not. You're saying extremely stupid things extremely stupidly. You're saying men are pigs has nothing to do with sexuality. And you don't experience that. How? What's happening in your head for you to be saying this? Is it something along the lines of, well, misogynistic language targets women because they're women? And saying men are pigs doesn't target men just because they're men? Is that what you're thinking? Is that what you're trying to fucking think? Now that I've suggested it as a possible way out of this doublethink, well, it's just another fucking swamp of doublethink, James! You leaky sackcloth douchebag! You're a fucking serf, James. This is how serfs think. They think, I'm never oppressed. I can't be oppressed. Look how much work I do. Look how powerful I am to do all this work. They have to make slaves think like that, pathologically. Otherwise, the penny would drop, and they'd run for the fucking hills, and they wouldn't be slaves anymore. Bleating and babbling, we fell on his neck with a scream. Wave upon wave of demented Avengers marched cheerfully out of obscurity into the dream!
So let's take care of the root issues, like the real problems, like the serious things, like inequality, injustice, you know, those sorts of things. And these smaller, less important problems of feeling guilty by association will disappear. They will go away.
You did it again, James. You are just saying the same utterly pointless Orwellian nonsense over and over again. You might as well be saying, if we figure out the real problems, the serious things like the guilty by association, genocide apology, those sorts of things, and these smaller, less important problems of inequality and injustice will just disappear. Do you understand, James? These terms are completely interchangeable for this purpose. You are telling us the rights of your own native men should not be dignified by any attention, and you have no justification for it except a lexical pissing contest with yourself, which you lost horribly.
Let's stop worrying about this whole, whoa, I'm not like the rest of them, and start worrying more about the, hey, let's all be equal. How about that?
Sorry, dude, I'm actually having genuine trouble looking at your face. I had a similar problem with Cochran, especially when I was editing the video, having this fucking scarecrow doing a parade of pause faces all over my field of view. Several times I found myself thinking, I can't believe this fucking aesthetic nightmare is happening right now, and inevitably lapsing into acid flashback every 5 minutes. But you, James, this is very different. I'm only as far as having your pause face down here while I talk to the camera, and I can't actually take it. I'm not a violent man by any stretch, but I can't carry on because my brain can't find any conclusive solution to your face other than slap it. You are, James, despite the indescribable fuck-ups and ruins with whom I've argued, you are by far the most slappable goddamn person to whose existence I have ever been subjected. And I hope no one slaps you. Really, I do. I hope no one gets slapped unless they enjoy that kind of thing. But nevertheless, my brain does really, really, really want to slap your face down to the fucking skull, James. And until my hand is down to the skeleton and bits of bone are chipping away from both of us, until there's nothing but a spinning nebula of calcium carbonate vapour in between us. I apologise for the way my brain feels, but I thought you deserved to know. Because quite honestly, James, you are a fucking disgrace. You're a fucking disgrace to language and reasoning and mankind. It's like they took the world's most grotesquely patronising voice and put it in the face of the world's most grotesquely patronising cunt. You can take that bibbly voice that people typically do for 3-year-old children and you ratchet it down by 8 fucking years. You sound like you're talking to a -5-year-old. And my brain wants to slap you back up the ratchets, James, until you are at least talking to people like they were born yesterday, rather than 5 years into the fucking future. I'm going to say some uncomfortably true things now. I hope you're in a receptive state. To you, men are thoughtless monsters. And women are useless slaves. And the only enlightened human is yourself. In your sacred silence, you know this is evil. But in your sleep, you believe it. With all that remains of your heart. And when you speak to me, I can see it. I can expose it until the whole world can see it but you. So you're right to see me as your enemy. And I'm right to see you as my friend. Because to me, men and women are friends. Goodbye. And